Hello everyone, I'm Aurelian and welcome back to the series in which we discuss the historical background and interesting facts about the vehicles of the popular game War Thunder. Today we have the Kawasaki Ki-10 Perry reserve lineup for Japan, Perry being the United States or Allies reporting name, such as Kate or what have you. The Ki-10 is a biplane fighter that was used by the Imperial Japanese Army primarily in Manchukuo and northern China during the Japanese invasion of China. Historically, Japan always had a split between army aviation and naval aviation, owing to their very much uh, hot rivalry that occurred throughout the entirety of World War II. These planes were army planes. The Ki-10 was developed in the early 1930s with a fairly quick development time of a year or two. The Japanese Army had issued a competitive contract in which Kawasaki and Nakajima went head to head, both of which were established and experienced aircraft manufacturers. Nakajima used a monoplane design that looked similar to an American P-26P shooter, but just with an enclosed cockpit. Kawasaki's biplane, as we can see here, was more maneuverable, and they used a three-blade metal propeller to assist in making it just that little bit faster. Ultimately, the Army went with the Ki-10. There were multiple variants produced, with the main difference being in how they were constructed internally, some engine modifications, and small improvements here and there. Uh, the big difference that you can see in game is that the Ki-10-2 is slightly longer, um, but otherwise they are essentially the same aircraft. It was introduced in 1935 and 588 units were constructed. It was the most advanced and last biplane used by Japan. As you can see, it's actually a metal structure with canvas over top, has a slightly staggered wing. These are powered by Kawasaki HA92A engines producing 722 horsepower on all the variants here. They are armed with two 7.7 Type 89 machine guns across all three. Decent machine guns, but only 900 rounds of ammunition, which compared to some other biplanes is a little less. As you can see, they have a max speed when spaded of 419 with a turn time of 15.3. Ultimately, these stats are in line with other biplanes at the reserve tier, such as uh, Pea shooters, HE-51s, Hawker Furies, but they do seem to have a little bit more maneuverability. Operationally, the Ki-10 was used almost exclusively in northern China. They saw several engagements with the Chinese Air Force fighting V-65C Corsairs and Curtiss Hawk IIs. I was able to find an ace during this period of time, with the records being a little sketchy. It stated that Lieutenant Kosuke Kawahara of the 1st Chutai, or Squadron, and the 2nd Hiko Daitai, or Air Battalion, was able to score up to 9 kills. Unfortunately, he was then shot down and killed in March of 1938. I will briefly speak about the start of the Sino-Japanese War. There was quite a bit of build-up to it, which I'll go over in a future video, perhaps with Japanese or Chinese tanks. But in terms of the air war, following the Marco Polo Bridge incident in 1937, which was a false flag attack carried out by the Japanese, the skies of China became thick with planes of various models. It was essentially a test bed for the Japanese air and naval air forces, and the Chinese Air Force did actually contend very strongly against often superior Japanese fighters, especially with the experienced Chinese-American volunteers from the United States. It would be common to see P-26P shooters also represented in War Thunder duking it out with this Ki-10 and the later monoplane, such as the A-5Ms. By the time of the Khalkhin Gol incident in 1939, where Japan skirmished with the Soviets on their border, the Ki-10 had become obsolete and it was already replaced by the Nakajima Ki-27 and other monoplane models. Later on in the war, they were relegated to being training aircraft and some secondary duties like reconnaissance or short-range patrols. In-game, as we discussed, these fighters are kind of representative of Japan as a whole to me. Good maneuverability, decent firepower, depending on the model, but lackluster survivability. We'll go into an arcade battle here just to show off all three models and see how well we can do with them. We got into a game here pretty quick. Thankfully, it's a standard battle. It looks like a slight up tier. I'm seeing some 36s. However, I think we can have a good time. It did appear to spawn in a tad bit late, so hopefully that means that we won't be stuck in the main airball, but we'll be able to fight some individuals here and there. I'm liking this Fury over here on the left, although he's being shot at very early by the HE-51. We're going to go ahead and dive in on the Fury, which will have a tighter turning radius than us, I believe. A couple of good hits there. We're not going to slot in to where we will immediately get hit. We do have a BF-2C here. Get some decent hits. Re-engage the Fury over here. Couple of decent hits. He is on fire, so we're going to leave him be and re-engage this product. Once again, I am trying to be cognizant about my ammunition over here. Got a quick kill. And we're going to reload just to make sure we have enough. Oh! Got somebody on our tail, looks like a Fury. Do a circle here. He's a little not paying too much attention, so we're going to slot in on his tail. He is a little bit slower than us, but should get some decent hits. Roll out of it. Definitely slower than us, so I'm going to take a wide circle here if I can. Looks like he's stalling. And hopefully get the kill here. Decent hits, but no kill. So we're trying to do some scissors here. Oh, and that's a crash. Moving on to the Ki-10-2. This one is a little bit longer. Do a little bit better than where we're at. We have a gladiator down there getting jumped by everybody. I don't particularly want to involve myself in that. That seems like no fun. We do have some I-15s and a P-26 over here. The I-15s are most certainly very dangerous to us. They're probably one of the better biplane fighters at this VR. So we'll see. There is a P-26 here, so we can go for some historical accuracy in terms of what we're fighting. Got a nice wing break there. Let's swing around and engage this I-15. There seems to be target locked in on this PBY, which will hopefully work for us. It's also a Chinese I-15, so historically accurate to the Chinese Communist Air Force. He's kind of just letting us chew him up here, so we'll continue to do so. We're giving him some short bursts. And we got the finish off. Not ideal, but we were kind of just giving him a few quick bursts. There is a Fury here that is going head-on with 36 and BF2C, so not really the smartest of ideas there. We'll try and re-engage. There is this hairball down here. We'll do our best to try and help out our ally, especially with a couple other of our allies heading in. Or perhaps this BF2C would be a better choice, seeing as he is on the tail of one of our friends. 26 here, got a nice wing break. It's somehow still flying. Disengage there. Is he going to steal the kill? That would be unfortunate. EF2C does have somebody on his tail, but we'll still do a few bursts in there. Swing around, hopefully we'll slot back in on his tail. There we go, got a nice kill there. I accidentally hit the R key, so we're going to disengage a little bit here. Let ourselves reload, and then we can jump back in. There's the BF2C, a couple of hits. Okay, run into an ally, as per usual in these reserve tier lineups. Alrighty. Well, going down to the Ki-10. I do like to run stealth belts on these. Lower tier aircraft for the most part. Simply because when people don't even realize they're getting hit, it usually works out for the better. As you can see, we have good maneuverability. These guns are decent. They're not the best. There are some 50 cals at this tier, like the P-26, which is helpful. But as soon as we take any damage, then we're kind of cooked. So let's see here. BF2C heading on with another BF2C. Has another Ki-10 on him. Looks to be slower. Yep, he's definitely slower. So we're going to extend out, make large circles, and get some bursts in where we can. Very good. A little sporadic in terms of enemies right now, so we're going to try and jump towards the main hairball here, where it looks like we have an F3F, TBD-1, and a BF2C. TBD is down. I'm going to go with the F3F here, because the BF2C just got taken out. He is on the tail of a friendly aircraft. Here, and got the pilot tonight. Very nice. Alright, let's get over here. There's a Fury and a BF2C over there on our flank. The BF2C is going for us, so we will... Okay, never mind. We'll turn away from him and go fight over here. There is Collier's D510. That guy does have some cannons. He does not have a ton of ammo for the cannons, but he does have them, so I'm very much concerned about staying on his tail. Kill assist, I'm happy with that. The Fury appears to have crashed. Let's go ahead and reload while we have a moment. And there is a BF2C, like he's getting ganged up on, so we'll try and come in, but he's down. We get a couple of ground kills here as we mop up. There is that CR. Oh, that was a good hit. He's going to definitely be faster than us, but he's bleeding airspeed by doing all sorts of crazy maneuvers. Although we do have some wing damage, we should be able to get some decent hits here. We can get the kill, very nice. Oh, there's a D373 coming straight in, doing some head-ons. He's gonna get lit up pretty bad here. Let's see if we can get some hits. Got some decent hits, but again, so is everybody else. And we crashed into an ally yet again. We got the kill assist. Fortunately, no engine, but we did get number 1 on the team, so I am happy with that result. I hope that everybody enjoyed learning about the history of the Ki-10 and watching me fly around an arcade battle. I hope you have a great rest of your day.